Doing good, doing good. Uh, did
Excellent.
some math today. It was fine.
Nice. Yeah. So because we're gonna like we're gonna try to post this on the internet. We'll see how this goes. Rob and I are doing like a weekly Math Academy check-in call, to like give us some more motivation to get after it. We're both interested in like the future of education. So, and I don't know about you, Rob, but I'm guessing you've done plenty of math in your past. I have also done some math, but I have forgotten apparently almost all of it.
I feel the same way. Um, yeah, it's funny. You see a problem and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I've definitely seen problems like this before. Um, how do I do this again? Yeah, I've actually been finding that it doesn't take that long to for it to come back to me.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe that's just exactly where I am in the curriculum. Where what is yeah, I guess what course are you doing and which sort of area of the course are you currently in?
Yeah. Well, for like more context, I'll like give all the different courses I've tried. So
Sure.
like I think like up until like college, like I didn't wasn't a math major, so all I took was like
Okay.
multivariable calculus. So I
Okay.
like took the diagnostic for like AB
Hmm.
calculus or whatever, and it said, "Oh, you're going to be put into like pre-calc."
Uh-huh.
Then I like sort of struggled with that for a while, like, and then
Hmm.
I like retook the diagnostic and it said, "Oh, you're going to be put into algebra two." Um,
Uh-huh.
so that was sort of annoying. But I
Hmm.
think a mistake that I had made with my original diagnostic is I had sort of like look whenever I saw a problem that I like you, I said, "Oh, I've seen this before. I can figure this out." I would
Hmm.
like, go on Google and like try to remind myself of how I was
Uh-huh.
supposed to do it.
Right.
That's not the way that like Math Academy works. Math Academy wants like math fluency. They want to know like
Mm.
what you can
Uh-huh.
do like right now very fluently.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing was I retook the diagnostic, but for Math Foundations 1.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if this is why they have it, but I feel like Math Foundations, that series is really useful for adults
Yeah.
because now I don't feel bad for placing into wherever in the school curriculum.
Right, right.
I can just like take the results and say like, here's what I know, here's what I don't know, and just like build up from there.
Yeah, yeah, I really like that like math foundations one, two, three instead of trying to I think that there's like a couple of weaknesses with the like middle school, high school year by year, like, oh well we'll carve out this thing that you sort of need to know that's like it's not quite algebra three, but like it's sort of before calculus, so it's pre-calc. It's like, well,
Yeah.
obviously it's not a natural category of like mathematical things to know.
No.
And so taking it or getting assigned to it feels very like why? I did learn calculus. Why am I taking
Yeah.
pre-calculus? But it's like, oh, you need a refresher on your math foundations, and we're going to put you in one because that's,
Yeah.
sort of the start of that. It's like it doesn't feel as awkward, and I think that the sequencing of that course is also maybe a little bit better for people who have exposure to these things a
Mm.
decade ago. It's like, okay, we don't actually need to like drill you on some of this stuff quite as much, but instead, well, we can reorder it in a way that is I get more friendly, I think.
Yeah. That would be like that would be interesting to like learn at some point like how much of like their like algebra one, pre-calc, all of those courses, like how much are they aligned with like I don't know what the standard whatever the standard is, like are they aligning
Yeah.
with the standard or like
Uh-huh.
how much flexibility do they have in choosing what goes in there?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's a great question, and my assumption would be that that they've targeted sort of the I don't know whether it's exactly the Common Core, but something that they've guessed at as like a sort of a median math sequence. I think that they're a U.S. Outfit, and so it's sort of a median U.S. Actually, just looking at their courses, they have from fourth grade all the way up to, they've got some courses that are, typically university math
Yeah.
courses. So like a calculus sequence, and then they've got some things about proofs. And my like target is the mathematics for machine learning course, and so it's
Nice.
it's it's sort of dumped me in this. It's got like the diagnostic that you take at the start to say, okay, well, what do you know? Let's make sure we're not missing some
Hmm.
prerequisite knowledge. And so it's got me taking some of the mathematics for machine learning, but mixed in with a lot of those foundations course like
Oh,
topics.
nice.
Um, it was kind of a nice design for the sequence to have.
So does like if you like go into if you try to take the diagnostic for mathematics for machine learning, does
Mhm.
it then like sort of like interleave more stuff from machine learning math versus like saying like if you had like sort of like if you didn't care, you
Mhm.
might have your aptitude might be in like Math Foundations 2, but like if you choose math from machine learning, maybe they're gonna put in more linear algebra at the top.
Yeah, I don't know because I've only done the diagnostic once, and so
Hmm.
I don't know whether it's the same diagnostic or if the diagnostic is adapting to that goal. Um, I maybe it seems
Okay.
like it would be a reasonable thing for it to do if they got around to implementing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, yeah, t tell me about like what your like practice is like. Like, what's your setup when you're sitting down to do some Math Academy?
Yeah. So, well, I like so far I've been always doing it like on my desktop computer.
Hmm.
So like I'll just do like pen and paper on a legal pad.
Yeah.
And since I'm using like pen and I'm
Mhm.
like left-handed, I'll like do it.
Yeah.
I'll do like one problem like per sheet of paper,
Uh-huh.
and then like just scribble everything out.
Yeah.
And like sometimes during the week, like I'm able to fit it in like during the day.
Uh-huh.
On the weekends, I try and do it in the morning because if I go
Mhm.
like I'll wait until like later in the day in the afternoon, like doing it after I played sports. I like tried
Yeah.
that yesterday, and I was just like making really basic errors. I was like, that's probably a bad idea to do that.
Yeah. It's funny. So the format for those of you who have not seen Math Academy, almost all of your inputs, it might not be all of them, but most of them are multiple choice questions. And so um very frequently they've got like a decent design, they've got good distractors, and so you do have to solve the problem in order to answer the multiple choice question correctly. But it also means that if you're making arithmetic errors, you'll select the wrong bubble, and there's a lot of arithmetic and a lot of algebra even in the calculus part. It's like
Yeah.
that's baked in, and so if you my frequent problem is I'll lose track of a sign, and so end up
Hmm.
with the wrong number, and it's like just very dumb errors and requires more like care and attention in order to get things right. But I think I've had that same experience where like if I've just had my coffee and it's the morning and I'm doing math, I'm making way fewer errors than I'm trying to
Yeah.
do it after exercise or like in the evenings.
Yeah. Well, something that's like embarrassing for me is like because I haven't done math for so long,
Hmm.
the errors that I'm making in terms of like algebra when I'm doing problems, they
Hmm.
are so bad that I'm not even getting caught out by their trick answers. My answers are just like not even close. So
Uh-huh.
like I'm sort of happy that I'm in that phase right now because I can just say,
Uh-huh.
oh, this is wrong and like go back and do
Right.
it again.
Right. If you didn't hit one of the distractors, then it's like, okay, so I missed a bigger step, which is it is funny that so much of math, especially the sort of very problem-centric, sort of like solve the problem style math, is very um, dependent on like very careful like symbol manipulation, and it's just like you have to get the arithmetic right.
Yeah.
There's like other pieces of math where it's like, well, we're really concerned with problems that are larger in scope, and like the arithmetic isn't as sort of as much at the forefront, um, which I think that there's a lot of like fighting through the arithmetic to make sure that you get there, to like make sure that that foundation is strong. Um, but it is like I don't know how much I really care about this arithmetic and just like repeating the practice of like not making sign errors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I will be like, if that continues, I will be more critical of it. Like
mhm.
once I'm not making those errors, like
Yeah,
as long as
yeah,
I'm still screwing up, like clearly that's a fair point.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think our like setup is sounds like very similar. It's like, try and carve out a repeatable time during the day to do this. For me, it's the mornings. Then like have pen and paper to do the problems. I think when we had chatted last, you mentioned you were sort of like trying to get certain review like into your feed. Maybe it's worth like quickly describing what the like lesson feed looks like and sort of our guesses at sort of how it gets populated.
Sure. Well, I can, I'll try and share my screen and we'll see how that goes.
Oh, sure, cool. That's a lot
Um,
better than just trying to describe it.
yeah. Okay. Is it popping up?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay.
It might
So
be it might be worth zooming in. I don't know. I don't know what resolution the recording's going to be set at, but
yeah, well, we'll leave it like this for today and then we'll find out once we check it out in a post. Um, so today, like I like had a bunch of downtime, so I like went through a bunch of lessons that I had like already, well, stuff that I had seen, like, when I
Mhm,
was in high school. So I got through a whole bunch of lessons today. Um, and the way it sort of works is like first it populates these lessons. And
mhm,
the idea is like if you're seeing this stuff for the first time, like one XP is supposed to equal like 1 minute. So they've broken like the typical math curriculum down into like very small chunks, so that like you can like learn this one thing and
mhm,
then you're able to review this one idea and like apply spaced repetition to this one idea
mhm.
instead of like sort of like studying a chapter once, never seeing it again, and then having to deal with it on the final.
Right.
Um, so I don't know exactly, but it sort of feels like they run the algorithm on what lessons they give you, like a lot of the times after quizzes.
Mhm,
So the idea with like lessons is you run the stuff and you like do the problems. And when you get to quizzes, I think they have like one problem from many different lessons, maybe from like 5 to 10 different lessons.
mhm,
And the idea is like this is stuff that you've seen before. You should be able to recognize the problem and do it, just like
mhm.
a regular traditional quiz.
Yeah.
And the idea with the quiz is that they're supposed to be like closed book. You're supposed to
Mhm,
be able to remember all the formulas you need, like the general approach, all of those different things.
mhm,
And they also have these reviews down here at the bottom.
mhm,
So like once you do one of these lessons, a few days or maybe a week later, it's going to pop up as a review is right ideally around the time that you're going to forget it. And they have like an algorithm like trying to figure all of that stuff out for you. So then you can go to the review and if you get them all right, you only have to do three of the questions. So that
mhm.
works pretty well. And right
Yeah.
now I am at the top of the leaderboard. I just want to show that out. There I am.
Nice.
It's beautiful.
Nice. Um, yeah, I think I've got a different leaderboard. They're probably whatever subsetting us somehow because I think I'm not in the same. It shows Silver League, but it doesn't have the same competitors in
Okay,
my leaderboard.
nice. That's good to
Uh,
know.
uh,
And then the one other thing to see if I can pull up. They also like all of the topics are connected together in this like huge graph. So like once you learn different topics, then you learn the next advanced one.
mhm,
And if you go and practice a topic like through a
mhm,
review or a quiz, you
mhm,
essentially get credit both for whatever topic you learned and also all
mhm.
the topics that feed into it. That way you don't have to like go do space repetition on like arithmetic when you've been studying math for a long time because like it all
Mhm.
sort of like pushes together.
Right. It's trying to do this thing where if you can use a skill which is sort of depended on by some future topic, then you've shown that you have that, and they're trying to actually update on what you're likely to know or what you've shown that you know.
Yeah.
I find that it's like it's okay. It's like having done some curriculum work like this, it's very difficult to fully enumerate all of the different like prerequisites and exactly how they're dependent upon.
Yeah.
Like at some point, it's like, well, yeah, you're going to be able to like do this arithmetic, and we're not going to fully map out like, yeah, this is going to involve whatever dealing with dividing fractions, and it's just like we assume that you know that. We're not going to
Yeah.
explicitly name that dependency, and so there is a little bit. Sometimes I'll like see two lessons back to back, and I'm like, well, I know that I must have shown that I have this knowledge, and you don't really need to give me this lesson. But it's I guess it's hard to do that diagnostic
Yeah.
with 100% fidelity.
Yeah, I think like especially is there anything else I should call out on the screen, or can I stop sharing my screen?
Um, Whichever you like. I think,
Okay.
yeah, it does bring up a lot of like questions I've got for you about like how you feel about the interface. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
how
Well,
pushed are you by the gamification stuff?
oh, okay. Well, I'm going to stop and share the screen. That
Sure.
well, I don't think there is any gamification, but like
Oh, interesting.
it doesn't hurt to have the leaderboard.
Uh-huh.
Like one of my it is satisfying to see like one of my other Twitter mutuals on there,
Uh-huh.
like way down in the red zone. Uh, but like one thing I was going to say, like I do agree with you that like the
Mhm.
diagnostic, at least for adults,
Mhm.
um, it doesn't work quite well enough. It probably works really well if you're a student and like you have been studying math in the past year.
Mhm.
But like if they're doing like the what is it, binomial search, and you're like sort of like cutting everything in half,
Uh-huh.
if you like get take so many steps,
Mhm.
maybe you can't get down to like the ideal granular thing. And also there's a weird thing where like adults, we will have forgotten some things, but not others. So if I get some
Mhm.
question right,
Mhm.
or if I take the diagnostic and I wasn't told that it's a closed book, I'll
Yeah,
go
yeah.
refer to
Mhm.
some other stuff. Um, then there's going to be like something wrong. Like either it doesn't have enough time, like it would be too long for of a
Uh-huh.
diagnostic, or I screwed up by doing external research.
Yeah.
And at least in terms of the appropriateness of like things building on top of each other, as far as I can tell, it seems to be doing a pretty good job of that because like I'm getting plenty of questions. I'm getting enough questions wrong in my
Uh-huh.
reviews to make me feel like, at least in terms of my current
Mhm.
math fluency,
Yeah.
this stuff is appropriate for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's they've done like a very decent job, and it's really really hard to get this to be perfect. And so like having imagined the perfect version of this, it's like, well, they haven't done that, but they've actually
Yeah.
done. It's like compared to like the baseline of like a textbook or something that just like shows problem sets. They've really done a very decent job trying to adapt it to like what they can detect as your actual knowledge,
Yeah.
which I think it's neat. I think you know, people have talked about like adaptive curriculum for a long, long time. It's like the history of sort of computers in education has for a long time been this like, okay, well, what if we showed the problems in the right order so that the student would have the right problem that was like appropriate
Yeah.
to them and like tailored to their level? And they've like it seems like they've done you know maybe as good of a job as anybody trying to like actually do that.
Yeah. I think last time we chatted, you talked about like some other companies have done this, and I've heard of like other companies who have done something similar, but like a lot of the times it seems like they'll get acquired by like some big like company like sells into school procurement departments. So I would
Mhm.
imagine there aren't very many like publicly available or like at least I don't know of any like alternatives that we could like go and test out.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that that's fully. It's like if you went and just like did a search for like other math curriculum that you can do
Yeah.
as just like
Is there a name for the
online.
like graph curriculum or like name for
Um,
the like, general subset of teaching tools?
so I think you might be talking about the like the dependency graph of like the concept. So like that sort of curriculum mapping. There's a lot of people who call it different things, but like you know what pieces of content or what topics rely on some other prerequisite knowledge. Um, the I the on the just like the like where else could you go to like see some kind of math curriculum that's trying to be adaptive to you?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like well the like big name I think is like probably Brilliant. It's like very popular. Um, I think that they're very focused on like very um like interactive like sort of
Hmm.
demos of things. I think compared to Math Academy, it's less focused on that like adaptive thing.
Okay.
They're like very UI focused,
Yeah.
which is it's like a very it's sort of a different balance of focus on the part of their curriculum and design team.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that there are other math curricula if you wanted to go and go on uh, like maybe on the other end of the scale. There's a outfit called the Art of Problem Solving.
Yeah.
Have you seen them? Um,
I've heard of them, but
mhm.
as far as I know, like they're much more just like a sequence of books for like late elementary, high school students.
Um, yeah, I think that they try to be comprehensive. So I think it's not like dissimilar topic coverage to Math Academy, but I'd say the for them they don't try and do any kind of algorithmic like adaptation to like what they can tell that you know or
Hmm.
like picking the lessons for you. They just say
Yeah.
like, well, here's all the lessons and go for it. You can decide what you know and what like
Okay.
here's the sequence. Here's the lessons. Just like, go ahead. Um, I think that that's uh I think that they have like a pretty good curriculum and it's like evidently it's very popular among people who are in like the
Okay.
competitive math scene.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that
so it's
like it
like,
like leans more towards like math competitions.
yeah. And so I think that probably for all of these things, they are like optimized for a niche. And if you're like in that niche, then like you should probably do the thing that's
Yeah.
optimized for you. And if you're not in that niche, then it's like, well, you're gonna have to either, figure out whether it's gonna still be appropriate for you or not. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe to try and like do some of that like niche self-identification out loud. What are your objectives for relearning math? Why are you here?
Uh, the main reason that I'm interested in it is just like more for like understanding their pedagogy and like
Uh-huh.
seeing what works, what's good,
Hmm.
seeing what doesn't work,
Hmm.
and seeing like what I want to steal,
Okay.
um, or like what because like when I'm thinking about this, like I'm sort of like comparing this to like
Hmm.
Duolingo or and with all sort of like education stuff, it's sort of weird to think about because say like you have like a tutor and a parent and a student and like they all care. A lot of the
Hmm.
times like there's so many like free textbooks out there is
Hmm.
that like if you just give somebody the right textbook and
Hmm.
just give them a moderate amount of encouragement, they're
Uh-huh.
going to make a ton of progress like
Yeah.
with relatively little effort on
Hmm.
anybody's like so it's just like something that I'm interested about like and to sort of see about like what's cool here, what can be like copied elsewhere, what's useful, yada yada yada. I'm more
Yeah.
just like more interested in it from the education side. It would be
Uh-huh.
cool if I can like learn linear algebra and fancy stuff, but like
Uh-huh.
I'm in no rush for that.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that I think it's interesting and like trying to reverse engineer like what is the Math Academy secret? Like what are they doing? Um, I think that that's like an interesting project.
Yeah. And I personally think like there's not really any secret. It's just like a lot of hard work and a lot of time.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that that's true. It's going to be true for any curriculum. It's like a good curriculum is going to have those things, but it's like there are a lot of different good curriculum that are different and feel different to use, and feel different to um, like accomplish different goals for like their learners. And
Hmm.
so trying to distinguish like, well, what does make this curriculum like in particular, what are the particulars of like how
Yeah.
this curriculum is different and it's like it's not just hard work. um,
Yeah.
like the McGraw-Hill textbook authors have put in a lot of hard work to the whatever Algebra 2 textbook. um,
Yeah. What do
but
you think is different?
um,
Like what do you oh well I should like ask you like what's your reason for
uh,
getting into Math Academy?
sure. So I think that like uh, that reverse engineering, like what do they do, I think is certainly one. But I'm also sort of interested in the like machine learning worlds, and so this
Nice.
like mathematics for machine learning, I think uh, is like a appropriate course for my learning goals. So
Yeah.
I guess the experience that I have is that I've done plenty of computer science. I've done lots of like discrete math, and I've like brushed up on that like a few times over the course of years since taking it in college. Um, but it's like my calculus probably ended at some point in the middle of college, and I haven't really seen it a lot. Um, there's plenty of you get used to a lot of different notation, but there's still a lot of notation that I'm like, I'm not sure if I remember that one. I was never particularly good at stats or took much stats, and so I feel like I could really use a lot of shoring up in that. Um, and machine learning has a lot of stats.
Yes.
So um, in addition to like just like messing around with projects in software, it's like helpful to feel like I have a strong base in um, the rest of my like mathematics,
Mm.
so that um, when I'm trying to read some machine learning paper, I have both the foundational like math skills and there's sort of like some habits of mind, like the
Yeah.
discipline and patience that you build from just like, okay, I have to solve this problem, so I'm going to read the notation rather than let my eyes sort of skim past it.
Yeah.
So hopefully I will I'll get both of those things out of it, both the like um, the knowledge and the skill, as well as that like just like comfort with the notation to feel like, oh yeah, okay, this is just some notation in some paper. I'm not going to like get stuck on it or be intimidated out of following along.
Yeah. Um, so I'm thinking about like, if you don't mind, if we go back a tiny bit,
Sure.
yeah. So like, what's different about Math Academy versus like other things? And
Hmm.
something that pops into my mind is, and then I don't know if how much of this is
Hmm.
true versus like, I've been like drinking the Math Academy Kool-Aid,
Uh-huh.
but like once you can break down the curriculum into like the very, very small chunks versus
Hmm.
like 7 minutes versus I don't know like how big like we've read those like
Hmm.
Department of Education like guidelines for each class. I
Hmm.
feel like those chunks are much bigger than 7 minutes a lot of the time. And also I'm like thinking about curriculum or textbooks for schools. They have, so many different people with their like fingers in the pie, like making decisions about what should be in there, what shouldn't. One nice thing about Math Academy going in and breaking the curriculum into these small chunks
Hmm.
is that like for a specific school district, they can go and say like, yes, 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 we want all of these.
Hmm.
And then if you want to like go to the other pathway of like, hey, here's a pathway for nerds who actually want to learn stuff,
Uh-huh.
um, you could theoretically build that pathway as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're sort of just like comparing it to what a like a math classroom looks and feels like, um, there's like a lot of differences. Even if like it's like you could pretend. I think that they've probably written a lot of their like the text that shows up in the lessons, but you could pretend
Yeah.
that the like text is just like stripped right out of a textbook and like transplanted right into
Yeah,
Math
it could be
Academy.
from a textbook. It could be written by Math Academy. It could be like written by an AI,
But
and
it's
they're all
like
sort of like the same amount of useful,
right, but it's like
assuming it's not terrible.
it's very similar to what is presented in on the textbook page if you're in a calculus class in a school. But Math Academy feels very different in that they're doing a lot of the things that the pedagogy in theory says that you sort of need to do. So like check that students have the prerequisite knowledge.
Yeah,
Teachers try to do this. I mean, they really try. Um, but the like format of a classroom means that like the way that you can do that is by giving a like a little sort of quiz before you do your lecture, or you like assign additional problems to students who are like missing some prerequisite knowledge. But it's like it's really really hard to like actually adapt as a teacher to like really ensure that every student knows the thing before they do the lesson. Um, On the flip side, there's a bunch of stuff that like you can do in a classroom that you just like, well, you can't do it in Math Academy. So like having somebody who's not the teacher explain some concept to you or like show you how they did it. Like Math Academy has the little examples as part of the lesson, but like it is just not nearly as dynamic as watching a teacher solve it on the blackboard or the
You know,
whiteboard.
like you just don't get
Um,
any social component right now.
there's no social component. It's also just like the examples are not solved dynamically. It's just like a static piece of text. And so the process
Hmm.
is not obvious. Like, what do you write down on the paper in what sequence? Like, that is, it's not something that you can sort of pick up from text that is just like presented to you fait accompli. How do you
Yeah.
recover from an error? It's just like, well, there are no errors. So there's like a lot of like that stuff
Yeah.
that just like it doesn't fit the format. So I think that that's interesting stuff to think about. I think that it's like the motivational things are just like it's not you're not required to do Math Academy, and
Yeah.
so the like motivation has to come from somewhere outside of Math Academy.
Yeah.
But
I know like
tracking the progress is nice, but
yeah, my mutual who has hit both of his kids doing it, like
uh,
now there's like, a little bit of rivalry, like
uh-huh.
in now I'm like trying to I don't know if this is true, but I would imagine like
Mhm.
getting, 15 XP today, 30 XP today,
Uh-huh.
that seems a lot more tackleable or like
Mhm.
something you can be more enthusiastic about
Yeah.
versus turning in one assignment 3 days from now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that immediacy and they've sort of created that like currency of the XP, which I think is it feels nicer than the grade. Just like, well, yeah, I've made progress in my learning rather than like
Yeah.
I've got an A or I've got a C or something. Um, it's not a judgment of like how good I am. It's how far did I come, which I think is it's just like a nice thing. A lot of teachers do try to do that kind of like reframing, but it's very hard.
Yeah.
So.
And like yet another comment about like how you said like how it's hard for teachers to like try to check for prereqs in the
Mhm,
classroom.
mhm.
Even like within Math Academy, like when I got into too high of a level,
Yeah,
if I don't remember what is Arctan, like how am I supposed to use it? Like
yeah.
it's really hard. It can't to drop you down from like wherever you mistakenly tested
Mhm.
into back down immediately into like the correct spot. Like you can
Yeah,
flunk out of this one lesson, but you're only going, since the lessons are so small, you're
yeah,
only going like 7 minutes back.
yeah,
So like I
yeah.
don't understand this. I don't understand the previous thing.
Right.
And then like I ended up
You
having to
sort of
retake
have
the
to.
diagnostic because
Yeah.
like I'm guessing like if they're building it for like,
Uh,
people under 18, they only
uh,
care about like going one way. But and also if you take the diagnostic correctly, you
mhm.
don't have to worry about this. But you can't go backwards with the same amount of fluency. Like maybe I'm not sure the system would ever be, whether it would ever be worth it to build it that much.
Yeah. Huh. That's an interesting question. Um, yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that are sort of like out of their control that they like. There was nowhere in the onboarding where they told me like, well, the way that you should use Math Academy is, and
Yeah.
some of that's probably good because for some people, they're using it for a different purpose or they like don't want to use a paper and pen and they have some other system. Maybe they've got Mathematica open in a different tab or something like that. But for me, it's like, well, the right way for me to use it is probably to have
Yeah.
my like little notepad here, and to be solving the problems by hand and then entering my like answer into the like field. But there's a lot of that sort of like how does it actually get used that is not it's not really under their control.
Yeah. A lot of things are sort of like implicit and assumed with traditional textbooks that are like a little bit different here.
Right, right. So interesting stuff. Yeah, maybe we'll pin some things to revisit when we chat next week.
Oh,
um
yeah.
yeah, what's your like XP goal for this week?
I think well, let's see when we pull up the browser again. Okay, so
Hmm.
right now I have like 993 and I
Uh-huh.
set my XP goal at like 15 per day.
Uh-huh.
It's like
You
some
crushed it.
days some days it's less, some days it's more.
Uh-huh.
So then I would need to like, get to like about like 1100, I guess, before we meet next. And then it's all stuff that I've learned before, so really I should be able to hit that.
I mean,
How about you?
it should be. So let's see. My total earned right now is 472. And I've got 50 a day, but then I don't do weekends. And so
Okay.
hopefully I'll have another 250 by the time we chat next. Um, so
Like
we'll
250 a day or like
no,
250 a
but
week?
250 by the time we meet next time.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
I see like this is like I'm out of math practice. So
Uh,
like clearly I don't know what I'm doing.
It's funny. It's funny that like quick arithmetic is just like happens to be, it comes up in a lot of situations. So,
Yeah,
but we can leave a bunch of there's tons more to talk about, but we can leave them all for next time and the times after.
absolutely. Okay. Rob, thanks for chatting and I'll talk with you next time.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Great to
Thank you.
chat.
Bye.
Bye.